Hello everyone and welcome to ZP Productions, and today will be the third part series for Softear. And once again, this is loaned to me from JABEN. I have to return to them really soon. I mean, I just wanted to have a first impression of every interesting IEM that he had, and he was really kind to lend me this. So this is the Softear RSV. Today we will do an initial impression, plus I will compare to the variation. That's the only IEM I have on hand now. The rest don't quite fight in this bracket very well. So, you know, my only option was the variation for comparison, which is not quite the same because that is a hybrid IEM, while this guy 5 BAs. Different. So without wasting time, let's take a listen, have a first impression, and then after that do a comparison with variation itself. Now, let's take a look at what's inside the box. Once again, this is from JABEN, so this is not how the actual IEM will look like because it will probably come with a nicer box. Okay, so this one comes with the black cable. I mean, just to note that the RSV is a lot more affordable. It's about, I believe, 1,000 Sing dollars. I will just put the photos online. This is not the same, I'll say, as same feel for the cable as the last two, the Cerebus and the RS10, but it's still pretty nice, so no complaints there. This one, let's take a look. I'm just trying to unbundle the wire. This one looks like a very nice black cable. Let me take a look at something. Okay, this one I have here is from Audio 64. Oh, very similar braiding. Okay, now just wanted to take a look at the differences. I did notice that for the earlier two, which is the RS10 and the Cerebus, they actually engrave the name of the IEM on it. This one just engraves V. You can see it, V. So this is number 5, RSV. And then goes all the way to the IEM. Once again, they do mark it with a red for the right side, very handy. And then this is the IEM. So, oh, the IEM, I have to honestly say, looks really good. I mean, this is kind of like the Onyx. There's some 3D-ness to the faceplate itself, and then the shell is all nice and smooth. This looks something like acrylic or resin casting, not too sure. Looks really good. And then you can see there's a demo A024 that's written there. Overall, I think this is really nice. Really nice. I mean, I have to say the truth that after looking at 3 Softear IEMs, I think Softear does a darn good job when it comes to making their IEM shells. This is not like ultra expensive. This is, you know, this IEM is 1,000 Sing dollars. It's not in the ultra expensive range, but the faceplate is definitely one of the nicest ones. So 3D looking to it. Just have to praise them a bit for that. The cables, not that great, not too special, but the IEM itself, really nice. Now, I'm not a huge believer of cables. I just feel that they should be aesthetically pleasing. There is some difference in sound, but they are usually very minor, not the way to spend your money most of the time, unless you are trying to try out those China-made ones, which is very affordable and nice. Okay, so without wasting time, let's listen to a few songs. Now, with all the Softear, I noticed that they always give single-ended. I'm not sure whether there's a balanced version, but it's fine. I play single-ended. First song, as with my last two comparison, I know Akuruhi, and I love this song. It's really nice, together with Ibarra. I almost forget that, you know, before I actually want to listen, I should just change the tips. Now, this is the same white bore tip, and then it has 3 holes rather than 4. So this means it's probably a 3-way. The last 2 is probably 4 ways. So this is something that, you know, I did notice in Softears, they like to have their tips really huge, which is fine. I mean, it does fit into the Baroque pretty nicely for the last 2 times. I don't think there'll be any issue, same as last time. Fitted all great and well. Okay, I fitted it with the Baroque tip from Elitech. So let's take a listen now. Done an initial listen, and I really love this IEM. I mean, I've been saying this a few times, but, you know, after trying this, I think, you know, between this and the RS10, I will get the RS5. The RS5 is very pleasant to me. Very balanced, but very pleasant. The mids are a little bit smoother, a little bit nicer, not so, I would say, as reference. The RS10 felt very flat. this felt like there's some excitement. The bass also is pretty nice. It's kind of a little bit, I say, is the texture feels a bit better than RS10. The vocals, not as like pure as RS10, but you know, it has this slight touch, very similar to what I heard in the Cerebus. A slight smoothness there, which is really, really enjoyable. The treble, I would say, is not sparkly in this particular track here. It's clean, it's clear, not sparkly, and the sound overall is quite large too. So the clarity, I think, is not like the RS10. You know, when I said the RS10 is like clear, like pure water. This one has a slight tint and fizz to it. You know, that's the difference. It's still very reference, still doesn't like emphasize any particular frequency, but it's more enjoyable. You know, I honestly think that I will prefer the RSV over the RS10, at least for this song. So you know what? Next song, Ibarra, and let's hear it. I have to hear it. Ibarra is totally a different type of song, high in energy, and let's see what this does. So with Ibarra, for this particular song and IEM, I feel like there's two noticeable things. Firstly, let's talk a little bit not so nice one, and that is it feels a little bit more compressed and not as clear. That is how I felt when I listened to this. First impression straight away. A little bit more compressed, a little bit not as clear. But after that, it is really fun to listen. It's more exciting than the RS10. The vocals are still rendered really nicely, a little bit of smoothness and warmness to that. The bass is very punchy, very quick, very fast, and doesn't have that feeling that I have with the RS10. You know, that they're hitting the small drum effect. This one hits like a medium drum. It's not going to be the I would say it's not the same as the U12T hitting a big drum, or the Onyx, which is like a subwoofer, or the Cerebus, which is big drum with a little bit more vibration. No, this is definitely better than the RS10 when it comes to the bass. I feel like the bass response is just nice, punchy, yet it does go a little bit more, just a little bit more like a bigger drum. That's how really I feel about it. And it's really fun to listen. It's exciting, it's quick, it's snappy when the track is running in the middle for Ibarra. Very pleasant. Honestly, I'm loving this more than the RS10. Cannot compare with the Cerebus, because the Cerebus is like a focus specialty. When I listen with Cerebus for vocal tracks, I can feel goosebumps. I don't feel the same for this. This is somewhere, slightly below the U12T in excitement, slightly above Onyx in excitement, but Onyx just sounds way better in many ways. This is like, between U12T, this, and the RS10, I put this guy in between the U12T and the RS10. It's like the RS10 and U12T combine and come up with something like this. It's pretty nice. Really, no joke. I think you should try this out. It's really, really nice. Now, let's try another track. Right, the last one I will try with I think I have been trying with The Witch from Mercury. Now, with The Witch of Mercury, it's quite apparent that the details here is a bit lesser. When it comes to the complex part in 3 minutes 50 seconds, where there is the small little soft drum in addition to the very loud symphony that's playing in the center, and then small little details, the smaller details and the small little drum do get missing at times. But this track also shows that the bass is very different from the RS10. Is a little bit more deeper, slightly more bloated, but feels more right in every way. So this is a more enjoyable IEM, and it's also a little bit more exciting to listen without the RS10 style of blackness in between instrument. This one gives a bit more atmosphere, but not as much as a Cerebus nor like the Onyx crazy atmosphere. This is more aligned to like the U12T. The U12T I think is closer to blackness than atmosphere, while this guy is a little bit more atmosphere. I mean, this is maybe due to the clarity difference for the IEM. Overall, still very enjoyable. I would say it's not my first pick for The Witch of Mercury, but pretty good. Pretty good. I mean, I can live with this. Now, with 3 songs away and done, that's time to compare. And the comparison will be variation. So this is the variation. Very well known IEM, sounds really nice, good, at least to me, very nice. Bass, mids are a little bit more, further away, a little bit more flat in the mids, and not as much layers. The treble is okay, but for its price point, I think it delivers a lot of quality. I mean, for the sub 1K, this is like 600 plus Sing dollars, like 600 USD or 500 plus USDs. No, this is really not expensive, but it does punch above its price line. I mean, for the sub 1000, I think the best one is probably the Monarch to me. The Monarch 3, not the Monarch 2. The Monarch 3 during discount is actually below 1000 US, and to me that is like really nice. But that is in show condition. So today I will just compare this RSV with the variation, and let's see what's the difference. Now the first track for this, let's play something different this time. Let me go to my playlist. I go to my vocals one again, anime vocals. I want to hear Inside You again, because Inside You is really nice, warm, fuzzy feeling to it. Let's hear it. Now with this first track, I compare. I say the RSV felt more natural, especially for the vocals. So when Millet sings, right, I found that this RSV is a bit smoother, warmer, but energetic. So once again, Millet, this particular song, I don't think it's meant to be energetic, but the RSV sounds energetic. Well, the variation just sounds like, I don't know, boosted highs. It feels like higher than it should be for Millet's voice. That's the difference, And then when it comes to the bass, I do think that the bass, there's a part where it will rumble, a transition to a very different tempo. On the variation, it feels better. There's this lower feel to the bass rumble, probably due to the DD. While the BA has the impact, the quantity, but it just doesn't have the same amount of rumble there. So I would say for this particular track, I think inside me, I'm more inclined for RSV, because I do prefer the rendition, especially on the mids and the vocals part, because the variation just feels very elevated in the higher mids. And sometimes it can be a bit too rough for me, while the RSV is a bit smoother. But I do feel like in terms of details, the RSV lose out to the variation in this particular track here. Now, the variation is cheaper, significantly actually more affordable. I think like $300 lesser or $200 lesser. But, the RSV does have a lot more quality, and I think that the RSV sound is a bit better, but at a loss of some clarity there. Okay, that is for Inside Me, not Inside Me, Inside You. And now let's hear the next track. For next one, I want to try something different. I will try something US. I hear Gunjo. I love Gunjo. But recently I'm not hearing it as much. So let's hear Gunjo, man. So when I listen to Gunjo, I find that the variation is a bit more dynamic. It goes really like smooth Ikura voice to that chorus that will blow your face. The very different rendition. While for the RSV, I find that it has more body. It feels more substantial throughout the entire sound, and it's a bit more smoother. But once again, the details is just a little bit lesser than variation. The bass itself is quantity-wise is the same, but the variation bass is a bit more right. It feels a bit more rounded out rather than the bass on the RSV, which feels like you hit and then you suddenly slam and then disappear. The same problem with the RS10. It's probably due to the tuning of how BA drivers work, and I think U12T did a pretty good job there to give it a slight bloatedness to make it more realistic sounding. Well, this one feels like it's slammed down into the bass, but it falls off a little bit too quick, while compared to the bass on the variation, which feels a bit more right, more rounded off, more bass-like. That's one thing. And then the other part is the vocals. I'll say as the RSV vocals is a lot nicer. It's a bit sweeter, a bit smoother, a bit more substantial and embodied. While the variation just feels like it's extended up, but not quite correct. It feels very thin. That's really the difference. I mean, the treble wise, I think the variation has more treble energy. the RSV has less treble energy, therefore the clarity of the variation is also higher than the RSV. RSV just feels not as clear. Now, just a note that treble doesn't mean clear automatically. I mean, I have the Onyx that doesn't have much treble energy compared to many IEMs, but it is ultra clear, right? And the RSV just don't feel as clear, so that's the difference, right? But that being said, between both of them, I'm still more inclined for RSV. It just feels more substantial, more bodied, more right, more correct, more enjoyable. The variation just very dynamic, very nice bass, but the vocals a bit meh. And that's the difference. Overall, my initial impression of the RSV is that this is IEM that if you don't focus too much on details, it's a very enjoyable one. There's one more thing also. The variation does sound bigger. It just feels like it disperses more, even though it's very focused and centered, but it disperses more. While the RSV is big and a bit more dispersed, I feel that there is a softer kind of tuning. A bit big, a bit more dispersed. But the edge is quite small, so the soundstage is actually slightly smaller. At least how I feel is that slightly smaller than the variation. The variation extends a bit more, but overall it's a bit more smoother and more enjoyable sound on the RSV. Now, between the RSV and the variation, which will I buy? I mean, I would rather pay a bit more for the RSV, but I do know that I lose some clarity there. So I'm not sure whether the RSV will be the absolute best buy at $1,000 point, because you will fight with the Monarch from T Audio, which is absolute beast of a IEM for this price point. And there's probably many other IEMs that I never heard before at this price point that is going to be pretty good. So that's something to note, right? But RSV, at least when it comes to enjoyment factor, it ages out the variation really easily. Maybe not so much on the technical factor. And of course, the build quality, everything is just really superb. And for $1,000, I think you should try this out. Just try it out and see whether you like it or not. Just know that it is not a technical superiority type of IEM, but it is very enjoyable to me and something worth to at least try out if you are in the sound signature that is a bit more body, a bit smooth, and still maintain good amount of excitement and have nice bass. It's not the most best bass you can ever get at this price point, but it's definitely still nice bass and it's enjoyable overall. And that's about it for my third video on Softears. This is the Softear RSV, and once again I have to thank JABEN for providing me this loaner copy to try. I'm going to return it really soon with the rest of it, but I'm really excited trying Softears. One thing I have to say that Softear IEMs have no sibilance to me, and definitely one of the most enjoyable experience of trying multiple IEMs. I have heard many IEMs that have so much sibilance that I couldn't take it, and so far 3 Softear IEMs, 3 enjoyable IEMs. So rare factor for a single brand. Even Noble does weird stuff, and I really like what I'm listening from the Softear series of IEMs. And that's why for today, if you are a sibilant type, or I would say as a sibilant sensitive type of person, do try the Softears. You may be really happy after that. That's about it for today. I hope you enjoyed this short little first impression of the Softear RSV. And look out for my last video next, which is the Stage 4 and the most affordable Softear that was loaned to me. And I'm excited to try it so far. After trying so many, I'm really excited to try that too. And I'll see you next time. Bye bye.